Morning, everybody. Welcome to Chamber Live on the 22nd of June, 2021. I don't know what the weather's like near you, but the sun is shining over Standish today at Fletcher Towers. It's all looking very good. Not that you can tell from my background, but believe me, the sun's out there today. It's making a very welcome reappearance. Just a few ground rules as per normal. The usual Zoom rules apply. Please, if you can mute your microphones, then we don't get any sort of weird background noises or anything like that. This session is being recorded and we'll be putting it out as a podcast and on the Chamber's YouTube channels in the next 24 hours. So if there's a little bit that you want to watch again or the whole thing or whatever it is, to tell people about it, please look out for that and let people know what's been going on. We have got a really packed agenda today. So without any further ado, what I would like to do is now welcome Harriet Jackson, our Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce, one of our account managers. So Harriet, good to see you.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, thanks for having me this morning. It's good to be here.
That's okay. One of the things we've been doing, obviously, not just through the pandemic, but before then, and we'll be doing more in the future, is around various things that we can offer members when it comes to actual business support. So what have we got in place? What are members sort of really interested in at present and finding most of benefit to them?
Yeah, I think one of the most prominent and useful services that members have access to at the moment would be our Chamber Protect service. This includes full services to cover all aspects of business support. So that includes HR, legal, health and safety, and VAT and tax. Members can access a 24/7 helpline. There's also a website there, and there's a library of over 750 documents. So that's all included within membership. These documents cover a range of business support services. So that can go from things like appraisals, ranging contracts of employment, help with applying for GDPR to your business, and a range of legal business and documents. And there's also some checklists on there. So it's really useful for businesses if they're maybe just struggling at the moment, if they need a little bit of extra support.
Because again, that cause most problems, aren't they, with people? How do we do this? How do we do that? And having a checklist there and examples is really helpful. Obviously, we've got a situation, haven't we, where obviously hopefully, I keep saying this, the worst of the pandemic has gone now, but businesses are still facing some really tricky few months, I think, coming up as things settle down a little bit more and we get back into some sort of normality. What else is there that we can offer if businesses are really struggling? I mean, it's difficult sometimes because businesses don't like to admit some of the problems that they're getting, but obviously we want to make sure that if you are in trouble, you can come to us and we've got something for you. So what else have we got on there where businesses are in significant difficulty at present?
Something that's really helped some of the businesses that I've been working with. If you do need a little bit more of a consultative support, you can access free virtual one-to-ones via the Chamber Protect platform. You can discuss HR, any health and safety issues, or if you've got inquiries as well, you can speak to someone directly, which I think is sometimes a little bit more helpful if you're looking at full document library, you're not really quite sure where to start. So if you do need that consultative support, I definitely recommend either getting in touch with me or one of the other account managers, and we'll be able to help you get put in touch with some of the Quest consultants there. Something else which is useful is briefs, who are our legal partners. They've collated several useful resources that are both legal and non-legal for businesses to use during this time. They've got a legal helpline that can help business recovery and planning, which is useful during this period as we are looking towards the recovery from COVID-19. And they've also got a support package that they've put together for members. You can download that from the website, and there are contact details on there, but I'll link it in the chat in case anyone wants to access that.
Okay, that's great. And it's again, we can't say it often enough because it's amazing still, the number of people that are members of the Chamber and don't really know everything that we can offer them and the support they can get. What's the best way of members keeping in touch with all these offers and services and benefits?
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased, so I would say obviously speak to your account managers regularly, because that really helps us identify where The Chamber can further support your business through either partner services or new events or opportunities that have come up over the past couple of months. A good example of that would have been peer networks, because we started the cohorts back in May. I think you can still access that through the Growth Company, but things like these that more ad hoc do crop up. We do have communications that go out. So we've got a bi-weekly newsletter called The Brief that goes out twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. This will always include both member and chamber news, events and offers. So you'll be regularly updated there. Another thing, we do have the MyGMCR Rewards Offers app. So that allows members to publish their member-to-member offers. You can also directly message businesses on there as well. So during this period where we're sort of subjected to more Zoom calls or restricted to Zoom calls and online meetings, it also can also be a useful engagement tool. So I'll link it all in the chat for everyone if they want to have a look.
Okay, that's excellent. Thanks very much, Harriet. And I can vouch that the account management team are really busy at the present moment in time, as they have been all the way through this, both making outbound calls and also receiving calls in from members and other people in the business community as well, wanting that helpful information. As Harriet said, she'll put some of that information in there in the chat box that is available. If you want to catch up or comment on something that one of our speakers says today, please use it. If you've got a question, we'll try and get through as many of those as we possibly can. But Harriet, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a quick reminder about some of the fantastic things that we can offer members to help them, support them through the current period and also into the future, when things hopefully will look significantly different than they have been over the last year or so. Our second guest today is from Business Doctors, and it's Steve Smith. And Steve, we've never done this before on Chamber Live, but you're the author of a new book. How long did it take you to write Leadership Levity and the Power of Baked Alaska, which is probably one of the best book titles I've seen for some time? What's the idea behind it?
Well, good morning. Thanks, Chris. The idea behind it really is, it's kind of a collection of my experiences and learning over 30 years. So the flippant answer is it took 30 years to write, because it goes all the way back to university, and then I joined Procter & Gamble and worked for 9 or 10 years with them, and then I moved on to Kellogg's, Trafford Park, and then latterly I was sales director for Iron Brew for bar soft drinks. So it's really a collection of learning and experience through all that 30-year period. It took me about 3 months bashing into the keyboard to get it all into a document, and then I spent about another year, to be honest, actually tweaking it and refining it and getting additional material. So at the start of the very first lockdown was when I sort of put fingers to keyboard, and the book's been on sale now for about a month. It's on Amazon and a few other places, and I've got printed copies done as well. So really exciting, but great project that took about 30 years.
30 years in the making, but I think it's got to, and what is the sort of main thrust behind it? I mean, obviously you've got a huge wealth of experience in that time, and held some, sounds like some absolutely fascinating jobs working for some absolutely top class companies. But how what's the main aim behind the book? Is there, if you're going to pick it up, what are people going to get out of it?
Well, there's three things really. I didn't want to just produce some kind of book that was a little bit sort of staid and perhaps maybe a little bit sort of dull or theoretical. I think a lot of business books obviously educate. Many business books will enable, because they'll provide techniques and sort of methodologies. But I wanted to go further than that. So there was three. I wanted to educate, enable, and crucially entertain, because there's been quite a few funny stories and scenarios that I've witnessed during that time. And I think one of the things with the career I've had is I've worked with products that everybody can relate to. Pretty much everyone in the country will have a product in their house that I've probably sold at some point, whether it's nappies, Fairy Liquid, Kellogg's Cornflakes, Iron Brew, products that everyone's really, really familiar with. So it gave me that platform, as I say, to educate, enable, and entertain. So I want people to laugh as they learn.
It's so good. I mean, that I suppose is the important thing as well, is that obviously it's serious stuff, business, isn't it? You know, it's not a comedy by any stretch of the imagination, but you've always got to have that entertainment bit there. And I think as well, when you're trying to sort of educate people as well, that little bit of doing it in a slightly different way. Thinking back to other things I've experienced in my career and whatever, the ones you remember are the ones that you found entertaining as you go through. They're the things that you do remember. So I think it's an absolutely superb idea. If you sort of summarize it and people who read the book take one thing away from them, what do you think that would be?
I think really ultimately it's a kind of a down-to-earth leadership approach. You know, you can read a lot of theory on leadership going back, decades. And you're right, as you said a moment ago, business is a serious subject. You know, it provides a living for us. It enables us to care for our families. You know, the economy, just the grocery industry where I worked was, it's 200 billion value in the UK. So, it is serious stuff. But I think particularly if anyone's seen the news that's just come out recently about Brewdog and the culture that's been there, quite concerning stuff, the style of leadership, the cult of personality, the almost bullying behaviors and things. And that's like the opposite end of the spectrum to where I've always tried to be as a leader, in the way I've always just tried to encourage and support people. So if there's one thing to take out of it, it's just, down to earth leadership that's based on transparency, trust and teamwork. And, for me, that's got to be the way forward.
Yeah, we hear a lot about leadership when we ask people about skill sets of people in business these days, and leadership comes out quite often as being a thing that is lacking in most people. You get these sort of I call them accidental managers, where people suddenly become a manager, and the difference between management and leadership is quite stark. But it's that leadership bit sometimes, isn't it? In that, do you think that more needs to be done around leadership in general when it comes to skilling businesses up and business people?
I think there does, yeah, but I think a large part of that is the basics. And one of the key things about my book, I mean, the first chapter is about sort of emotional intelligence, and then it moves on to a chapter about leadership. And to me, there's a basic building block that gets overlooked. You can read, 100 books on all the great theories of leadership, but just good manners and decency, for me, has got to be the building block. How are you going to lead people if you don't treat them with a bit of respect and dignity? It's just not going to work. One of the examples I quote in the book is David Sterling, the founder of the SAS. We've all seen the programs on TV, incredibly tough guys, top sort of operations in the world. But David Sterling was apparently incredibly polite. He never shouted at anyone. He never barked orders at them. Apparently, he just politely asked them to do things. And because they had so much respect for him, and because he treated the people he worked with as human beings, they did the extra mile for him every time. So, leadership to me just begins with just simple good manners and decency, and then you build from there.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think we've seen a lot during the last 16 months as well, whereby leadership is lacking in some cases, but obviously really, really clear in others as well. I think sometimes in times of crisis, you get the leaders, don't you, that come out and come from it. So I think it's absolutely superb. If anybody does want a copy, I think the link has been put in the chat box for the link to the Amazon page, and it's got 5-star reviews on there, Steve. So and some really good reviews as well, some great comments coming back as well. So I think it's something great, and again, I think the title alone deserves something a little bit more investigation. Dare I ask, where does Baked Alaska come into it, or is that going to give too much away?
Oh, that's it. That's the hook. You'll have to read the book to find out.
Correct answer. If you'd have given it away, I'd have been really disappointed. So that wouldn't have been good leadership. Steve, thank you so much for that. It's a pleasure to see you. I always speak to you, and there's so much good stuff as well in there that's encapsulated. And thank you so much. Good luck with the sales. And like I said, maybe come back and when you've got part 2 in the next 30. Oh, I don't know if we'll all be here by then, but anyway.
I hope it won't
good luck.
30 years.
Good luck for it.
Thanks, Chris.
It's absolutely superb. And like I said, we've got the link through if anybody wants to pick up a copy. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Good luck with everything you do. Thank you. Okay, so next on the list, we've got Katie Craven from the LGBT Foundation. So, Katie, are you there? Yeah.
I am here, yeah. So I'm getting told that I've got an unstable connection. So I'm going to keep my camera off if that's okay. I do apologise.
That's absolutely fine. It's a definite sign of the times.
It's so frustrating.
Whole new lexicon been built up over the last 17 months or so of things that beforehand would never have made much sense, but now make perfect sense.
Now it makes perfect sense being told that you're unstable now. So thank you. Thanks.
Okay, that's fantastic. And Katie, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, before we get into the bit we're going to be talking about, which is the Training Academy, can you just tell us a little bit about the LGBT Foundation?
Yeah, of course. So LGBT Foundation is a charity based in Manchester city centre, but we've actually recently become a national charity because of our helpline and because of other services across the country, such as our training academy and services such as our counselling services has become massive and grown across multiple areas of the country. We do lots of different things for LGBT people, including counselling, including a domestic abuse service. We've also got services to support the community, such as making sure that nightlife is safe in the city centre for LGBT people. And we've also got a hate crime reporting service, a substance misuse service, as well as now obviously we provide training to a range of different people across the country, which I'm going to be talking to you more about today. So I'm excited to be here.
That was an expert link into what you're here to talk about.
Yeah. Smooth, wasn't it? Smooth.
I'm just going to say I'm very impressed. It's great to see the range of things that the foundation does cover. And again, that started in Manchester. It was back in the 1970s, I think it was. And now, like I said, it's a national organisation.
Yeah.
Another sort of successful export from Manchester. What you're here to talk about, though, Kate, specifically today, and this relates directly to your job, is around the training academy that's been set up. Can you just explain a little bit more about what that's about?
Yeah, of course. So the Training Academy was set up at the beginning of last year, as soon as COVID happened, really. And it's for anybody that really wants to increase their knowledge and confidence around LGBT inclusion, either at home or at work or in the community. So we have a huge range of modules and different packages to support your learning. And it really doesn't matter how much prior knowledge or experience that you have in this particular subject area. All the training modules are online. They're interactive live sessions in a group, and we really value that idea of it being a safe space, because we know that in this kind of day and age, it can be quite scary to ask certain questions, and people are so afraid to sort of say the wrong thing or offend anybody. So a big part of our learning is to kind of really encourage it to be a safe space and for people to ask as many questions as they want and to have a bit of a discussion. Another really amazing thing about it is that anybody who completes all 10 modules have the opportunity to become a champion, and you actually get an award of bronze, silver or gold. And then kind of following that award, champions can be a member of our Training Academy alumni network, which is really exciting. And so it means that it's not just a one-time thing, but we can actually continuously support people and organisations in their learning, because as we know, things do change over the years and language evolves and different laws come into place. So we want it to be a place where people can receive ongoing support.
Okay. What excuse me, what particular subject areas does the training cover? I mean, obviously you mentioned a bit at the end there, because sometimes it is a little bit confusing trying to just keep keep pace with things as they change. Are they the type of things that get covered on the training?
Yeah, so we've got 10 modules that really deep dive into specific subjects. So the first one's kind of your basic LGBT 101, so definitions, common questions, common mistakes that are made. Then our second module is a deep dive into trans and non-binary people and the kind of support that that part of the community needs. We've also got an entire module on how to have like challenging conversations with people. So that can be something like, you know, correcting somebody who is misgendering another person, or challenging different forms of discrimination, and how to ask somebody for their pronouns and things like that. So we have a whole module for all that kind of scary stuff that we're all a bit afraid to do sometimes, unfortunately. And then there's a whole module on how to be a better ally to the community. There's a specific one on health inequalities, and a specific one on intersectionality as well, because obviously we know that the LGBT community aren't just a group that all have the same characteristics, and of course everybody is so different. So yeah, there's a deep dive into really specific subjects, and actually for some organisations we can put together a more bespoke package as well. So if you really like the sound of a particular module but you also want elements of a few of the other modules, we can actually put together a session specifically for your team or your organisation for you.
And what type of organisations is this aimed at? What type of groups and businesses is the training aimed at specifically?
Yeah, really good question. It's the beauty of the training academy is that we can kind of be so flexible to suit the needs of any organization. So we've worked with massive corporations such as Nestle, Co-op, Barclays, but we've also worked with really small voluntary sector organizations, and even other local charities that support LGBT people that actually feel like they're a bit, you know, out of their depth maybe in terms of the support that they're providing. And we've also done a lot of work in public sector as well. We've supported many different sections of the NHS, and also the fire service in Greater Manchester. We're also starting to work with the police as well. So it's really flexible in terms of the needs of that organisation, because obviously the language that a massive corporation like Nestle will be completely different to NHS, but we can be flexible to suit that, which is great.
Okay, Katie, thank you so much
No
for that. That's been really illustrative, I think, actually, because again, I suppose there's a lot of organisations, ourselves at the Chamber as well. You know, we had the conversation. I can remember it probably about 18 months ago about, you know, the whole pronoun issue, and them on their emails and one thing and another, and our view is, well, yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with, do it. And we see it more and more now about things like that. I can imagine, you know, for some people that's a little bit, well, what's this about?
Yeah, exactly.
The more that people see it and the more they become aware of it and everything, I think that's so important. So Katie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
I hope your internet connection gets a little bit more stable.
I hope so too.
Yeah. and thank you so much. We've got a link through to the LGBT Foundation in the chat box as well, and in addition to that, Steve has put some further details about his contact and his contact bit there, and Katie just added the email in there as well. So thank you so much for that. Just before we move on, and I'm just checking that we've got our speakers lined up. We should have Subra joining us, but I just want to make sure that we've not got Kira on the call today. We did have Kira lined up, and sometimes people join and use somebody else's name. I've been caught out like that before and said, oh, they're not on the call, and then they've piped up just at the last minute. But I'm just making sure that Kira is not on today. No, silence is there. So we're just waiting for Subra to join us in that. So hopefully he'll be with us in a minute. I'm just trying to see if he's on there. We'll try and get hold of him. We'll give him a minute or so. But just before he comes, just a few things coming up for people to look out for. Speaking of Subra, next week, next Tuesday is our QES launch event, our quarterly economic survey, which will be our economic briefing, which will be from 9 till 10. Please look out for that and book on. It's free to attend. If you want to find out what's going on in the local economy and a bit more of the national picture as well, what's the sentiment from the business community in Greater Manchester, please join us for that next Tuesday morning, 9 till 10. Subra and myself will be leading on that. If you've never been to one of those events, please do so. It is a really fantastic way of just finding out what's going on. We don't bombard you with numbers. It's not all graphs and accountancy stuff and all this, that and the other. It's really good, down to earth, solid economic information and business information as well. So please look out for that. If you want more details, look out later on today for the events brief that should be dropping into your inbox as well. That's got details about all our upcoming events as well. So look out for that. I think Subra has just joined us. Subra?
Hi, Chris. Good morning, everyone.
You okay? Excellent. Thanks. I just had to do a bit of what's it called, filibustering or whatever it is, while you just keep it going until somebody comes. But anyway, that's great. Good to see you. Subra, our head of research, for those of you that don't know. Subra, just a couple of questions really, because obviously we're at a very interesting time, aren't we? And if things had gone to plan, yesterday, June the 21st, the so-called Freedom Day, which is a phrase I absolutely hate, but anyway, it's been known as Freedom Day, should have happened. Obviously, we know now it didn't. We've got a few issues around the Delta variant and one thing or another. It may happen now on the 19th of July. There's a lot of positive noise about that. But what impact did that actually have on the economy, as it were, and on business sentiment as well? Because we got a lot of media requests from people. It was like almost like the end of the earth or something. But obviously, it did have an impact. But whereabouts? Was it as big as the press was making out, or is it just a case of, well, it's another stage in the whole thing around COVID?
I'm a bit nonchalant about that. I don't think the impact is as dire as it was made out, for various reasons. One, seeing the relaxation progress over the last 2 months, things have gotten better and better economically. And today we learned that public finances are in a much better situation than they have been anticipated. So borrowing in the month of May was actually lower than it expected. And during the various phases of lockdown that we have had, businesses have actually been able to bring staff back from furlough slightly earlier than was expected. Trade and customer demand has actually returned. That, of course, for hospitality, have been able to have capacity at this stage with that Freedom Day. So in macroeconomic, I don't think that's, but of course the impact on individual businesses may be quite different.
Okay, I think Subra's got the same connection that Katie might have had there. You're just breaking up a little bit, Subra, but I think we're getting the gist of what it is you're saying. And basically, the doom and gloom wasn't as big when they made the announcement to delay Freedom Day, as many people were making out. That's obviously not to say that people haven't been impacted by this, and I think hospitality is really on the receiving end of quite some very bad news and consistent bad news at present along with that. But obviously we've got the QES. I just mentioned we've got the QES launch event next week, next Tuesday. Obviously, a bit like Steve's book, we don't want to give everything away in one go. But what are you seeing from those survey results? And again, the survey completed by businesses. It's not what you think. It's not what I think. This is coming directly from the business community in Greater Manchester. What's the sort of overall feeling at present where we are and what's to come?
Chris, I've just done my video. So in terms of the QES, I have actually seen a significant all of those measures compared to last quarter.
Right, it's not actually made it better. I think it's anything. It's probably made it worse, actually, Subra. But anyway, the vagaries of technology. So things are looking better than they were.
Things are definitely looking better than they were. That's true for Greater Manchester. That's true for the whole of the Northwest.
Okay, all right. So it looks like we're on the right direction. We're on the right path going out of it. Still a lot of challenges ahead, and one thing or another. And Brexit's not going away. There's still a lot I think we've got to unpack from that, and the impact that we find from that. So Subra, thanks very much for joining us. And unfortunately, like I said, just a bit of a poor internet connection there with Subra. But like I said, if you really want to hear everything that's going on in the local economy, the path forward, the forecasts and things like that, please join us next Tuesday morning, 9 till 10. It will be an hour well spent of your time, believe you me. And Subra, thank you so much for joining us. He just had to hop over from another call he was on. So that wraps things up for today's Chamber Live. Like I said, we've had a very, very diverse and wide-ranging series of guests and discussions. A lot of contacts going on in there. A couple of people joining us for the first time or looking to build a network in Greater Manchester. That's part of what we can do as the local Chamber of Commerce to help businesses do that. One thing to look out for at the end of this week, we are going to be launching the first ever GMCC Excellence Awards. So please look out for that. You should be getting an email and further information about that, how to enter, the idea behind it, why we're doing it. It's something completely new for us. We've never done anything like that before across Greater Manchester. We've had some local business awards, but not one looking at business excellence right across GM. So please look out for that. We've tried to make them as simple as possible to enter. Then we don't put people off, but more details will be coming out when we launch them on Friday. So I'd just like to thank all our speakers and guests this morning, Harriet, Steve, Katie and Subra, and wish you a great day. Enjoy the rest of the day. Look out for the events brief coming into your inbox later on with further details. With that, all that remains for me to say is thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us.